Coming up on Chapman News, case counts and daily death tolls skyrocket as COVID-19 shatters previous records. And California goes into COVID hibernation, preparing for a dark winter ahead. A community ablaze again, the Bond fire lights up Orange County.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of Chapman News. As COVID-19 sets new records, the director of the CDC is warning that the next few months could be the darkest time in the public health history of this nation. Here in California, new shutdowns are taking place and you could be fined for even leaving your home. With more on locking down and staying in is Barbara Fox.
More safety precautions for California. The state now reporting a total of over 1 million COVID-19 cases with over 19,000 deaths. The state once touted as a model for the rest of the country is now seeing a dangerous surge.
We've reported back-to-back days with 113 deaths. Just in the last 14 days, close to 1,000 Californians have lost their lives.
Even with some of the strictest restrictions, Governor Gavin Newsom warning this week that hospitals are overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients.
If we don't act now, our hospital system will be overwhelmed. If we don't act now, we'll continue to see a death rate climb, more lives lost.
It is looking quite different here in Old Town Orange, and a bit eerie if you ask me. I'm standing outside After's Ice Cream, where it's usually crowded with a bunch of people. But due to the new stay-at-home order, it is forcing residents to stay home from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Governor Newsom announcing a 3-week stay-at-home order for regions falling below 15% ICU capacity.
The 5 regions that we have highlighted, most of these, 4 out of the 5, we anticipate as early as the next day or two, as early or rather as late as the next week or so.
Paul Alexander works at a construction company in Silicon Valley. He reflects how the second shutdown is going to affect the workers on the job.
I mean, there's 100 construction workers on this job site. I mean, most of them, I would say, they cannot work from home. They'll be on unemployment.
He urges people to be cautious about what you do outside of work.
We have to have masks. There's hand sanitizer. There's temperature checks. They're doing everything they can on the job site, but they can't control what people do when they're not at work.
While many people are experiencing COVID fatigue, health officials are urging everyone to take these precautions seriously as winter approaches. For Chapman News, I'm Barbara Fox.
Thanks, Barbara. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has been sidelined in recent months by President Trump, will now have a more prominent role in government once again. President-elect Joe Biden has named him his chief medical advisor. With more on how the country is coping with the COVID-19 pandemic is Adriana Ferrari.
COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the U.S., with states like Texas, Florida, and Illinois hitting new records. On Wednesday, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention changed the recommended quarantine period from 14 days to 10 days. The CDC also announcing 2 options for quarantining post-exposure. The first is to wait 10 days without symptoms before interacting with the public again, and the other to break quarantine after only 7 days if a negative COVID test is reported.
When the 14-day quarantine was set up, it was very early into the pandemic.
This aims to ease the financial burdens associated with longer quarantines. At the same time, over 100,000 American citizens hospitalized for COVID-19, marking a new record. This steep climb in hospitalization rates come with the rise in cases throughout the U.S. after the Halloween and Thanksgiving holidays. And cases are expected to keep rising in the upcoming winter season, regardless of the vaccine deployments. Here at Chapman, the university now requiring everyone returning to campus or the residence halls to get tested by 4 p.m. today. And cases here remain consistent. Currently 1 student living on campus, 4 students near campus, 3 students at the Ranker campus, and 2 staff or faculty are infected. For Chapman News, I'm Adriana Ferrari. Back to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Adriana. We're seeing daily developments on the vaccine front, and with more on when and how you will receive your vaccine is our medical expert, Dr. Jerica Lamb. Dr. Lamb, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So first and foremost, what's the latest on who gets the vaccine first?
Right. So right now, as far as we know from the CDC, that I think they had a meeting yesterday, and basically they are triaging the phases of this vaccine rollout. And it looks like healthcare frontline workers like paramedics, firemen, policemen, as well as healthcare workers will be in the first phase 1 to receive the vaccine, followed by senior citizens, those who are basically living or taking care of senior citizens in long-term care facilities and skilled nursing facilities. So we can imagine frontline workers will be taken care of first because they're the most vulnerable, taking care of the sick, and then followed by the vulnerable senior citizens, those who have comorbid conditions, chronic disease states like hypertension and asthma and COPD, diabetes. And then we expect that the second phase rollout will be in the spring of next year, and that would include other healthy adults as well as children with coexisting conditions. So we are thinking that for regular or normal individuals to get this vaccine, we're looking at probably mid to late spring of 2021, if not early summer of 2021.
And Dr. Lam, do we expect side effects from these vaccines?
Yeah, so the data in terms of the trials data, they are not for public viewing yet. They have not been published in New England Journal, as well as JAMA and other well-published medical journals right now. And so we don't, as myself, as a pharmacist clinician and my colleagues in public health and in the medical field, we don't have the data to really analyze it with a fine-tooth comb. So what we are depending on will be what everyone is listening to in terms of the science, as well as the public health experts in social media and on the news. So according to Dr. Fauci and other well-respected scientists, they're saying that right now there are minimal side effects that come with these vaccines. And the common side effects that we usually expect from vaccines in general, because these are injections, will be injection site side effects such as some soreness, some redness at the injection site, as well as maybe some feelings of malaise and maybe some feelings of maybe a little fever, because it is introducing an mRNA protein into the host body to try to replicate this blueprint, this genetic viral blueprint for the virus. So we expect just minimal constitutional side effects, non-constitutional side effects, but nothing severe, nothing serious.
So let's say that by next June, millions have gotten their vaccination. Does that mean that the pandemic is over? Will we be able to return to normal life after that?
That's a great question. What the Pfizer and Moderna studies have looked at was efficacy and safety of the vaccine in terms of protecting someone from getting the coronavirus. What the trials have not studied was basically the length of protection from the vaccine. So what that means is that we don't have the data in terms of how long does this protection from the vaccine last. So meaning that we are not sure if the vaccine will protect us from getting the coronavirus 3, 6, 9, 12 months after being vaccinated. So to answer your question, we don't really know if the vaccine will protect us forever. We suspect that because it's a respiratory virus that it would mutate. And so it might, we already know that it's endemic in our country, so meaning that it'll be here. And so we think that perhaps in 2022, there might be another strain. We don't know, unless if we really work together to really flatten the curve and dampen the spread of the virus, that we may not see another strain mutation in 2022. So I would say get vaccinated and still continue with PPE in terms of masking up, practicing safety precautions and washing our hands to make sure that we, again, are protecting ourselves and loved ones and our friends.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Lam, for being with us today.
Great. Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
And there are now over 65 million total COVID-19 cases across the world, with 1.5 million reported deaths. The UK's death toll accelerating. As of Wednesday, the nation's total COVID death count surpassed 60,000. But on the same day, Britain announced emergency approval of Pfizer's vaccine for use starting next week, jumping ahead of the US's vaccine timeline. In Asia, Taiwan announcing 24 imported cases in a single day this week, a shocking spike in cases for the Southeast Asian island after being considered one of the most COVID-free places in the world. And the start of the holiday shopping season looked radically different this year. Foot traffic plunged while online sales soared. Colette No has more on the story.
From Black Friday to Cyber Monday, sales promotions marked the start of the holiday season, but without the usual frenzy.
There was noticeably less people moving around, and it was almost like it was just a normal day versus Black Fridays.
Traffic to physical stores like these dropped by 52%. But shoppers are still breaking records, spending online like never before.
This year, I think the biggest surprise was just how early everything was, to the point where if you were shopping on Black Friday, you were late.
According to Adobe, online Black Friday sales hit $9 billion, up 22% from last year, and Cyber Monday made over $10 billion in sales. The effects of the pandemic led people to buy products that improved their at-home experience.
It's always the usual suspects. It was toys, right? A lot of toys, a lot of electronics. Beauty did a huge uptick, right, from where we usually would see it. We're all at home, we're all on camera more. So
it was almost impossible to find a KitchenAid mixer. Those were super popular this year. I think everyone's buying into this idea of pandemic baking.
For the shoppers that did venture out, stores were prepared with hand sanitizers, signs for social distancing, and limits on how many customers were allowed in at a time. The National Retail Federation is expecting holiday sales to rise up to 5.2% this year.
There's this concept of pent-up demand, right? So I think, people have not been shopping. People didn't take vacations, right? So there is a little bit more money.
Other companies decided to participate in Giving Tuesday instead. Yoga Wake Up, an app for audio-guided yoga, turned the Day of Kindness into a week of supporting organizations like Yoga for Black Lives Matter and Active Minds.
It didn't bother me at all to not run a sale for Black Friday. It just doesn't seem like the right thing to do. It's important for us to use this platform to always give back.
The circumstances were different this year. Whether you participated in Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or Giving Tuesday, but either way, this holiday shopping season will be one to remember. For Chapman News, I'm Colette No.
Thanks, Colette. And even with a COVID-19 vaccine right around the corner, many Americans are still unsure whether to take it or not. Former Presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton are attesting to the vaccine's credibility. The three presidents announcing this week that they're ready to take the vaccine on camera to encourage skeptic Americans. Coming up on Chapman News, the president's 46-minute rant he dubbed the most important speech he's ever made. And the toll of the polls, what Chapman Republicans are saying about what they call a rigged election.
3 months ago, there weren't enough masks. We were desperately sourcing from all over the world. People were making face coverings from scarves, bandanas, and bits of fabric. Now there are plenty of masks, but some people don't want to wear them. Come on. Mask up, America.
Growing optimism from Capitol Hill this week as Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell met to discuss coronavirus relief programs. A bipartisan group in Congress outlining a temporary $908 billion coronavirus relief proposal, which includes more unemployment benefits but is less than what Democrats hoped for. The proposal is yet to be approved by both parties. And with the latest from the Trump administration and the election is Jasmine Sani. Jasmine?
Thank you, Jackie. With 47 days on the clock until Joe Biden and Kamala Harris take office in D.C., sitting President Donald Trump has yet to wave his white flag. President Trump hinted of running for office again in 2024 during the White House's first party of the holiday season on Tuesday night. The party violates CDC restrictions for indoor gatherings, and many of the partygoers chose not to wear masks. The White House plans to host more than 20 holiday parties this season. In a big blow to Trump's campaign efforts to delegitimize the election, Attorney General William Barr saying on Tuesday that the Justice Department found no indications of widespread voter fraud, contradicting President Trump and his personal legal team. Barr has been one of Trump's most loyal allies, who often warned of mail-in voter fraud before the election. While Attorney General William Barr and many others around the country withdraw their support from Trump's legal endeavors, some Republicans at Chapman University remain loyal to the president.
Chapman Republicans made their unwavering support for President Trump clear in early November, denouncing the stealing of fraudulent elections, deliberate secrecy, and coordinated censorship of the president. Chapman Sr. and Chapman Republican member J.P. Moore explains his concerns over the election's integrity.
A few examples of this would be watching people backdate ballots. Voters have ballots cast without them sending anything in. As well as sending absentee ballots to P.O. boxes, which is illegal. They're all like small things, but they do add up.
Trump administration officials are now disputing Trump's claims. Attorney General William Barr and former cybersecurity chief Chris Krebs say there was no widespread fraud. At least 30 of the legal cases have already been thrown out. Like Moore, many Republicans don't see the need to rush Trump's concession when the administration is still pursuing legal remedies, believing that it is better to be safe than sorry.
Just let the investigations play out. And if it turns out there was foul play, there was foul play. And if there wasn't, then so be it. Joe Biden won the election fair and square.
Despite this, experts and analysts around the country have stated there is no evidence of fraud to the point of swinging the election. But Moore points to hypocrisy in both parties, saying the refusal to concede isn't a new phenomenon, citing when Hillary Clinton said Biden should not concede under any circumstances in August.
There's a difference between not conceding an election after many aspects of it appear to be done unlawfully and peacefully transitioning. It's not like Trump is going to chain himself to his desk in the Oval Office.
The club's most recent Instagram post garnered over 1,000 comments, with Trump supporters and opposers battling it out in the comments. Moore says he has also received backlash after going public about his support for Trump online.
People just have treated me before like I'm some sort of evil, despicable person. When it's in reality, all I want is just personal liberties and the smallest government possible.
For Chapman News, I'm Jenna Perry.
Thank you, Jenna. Despite losing in court over 30 times since the election, President Trump made another case for rigged voting on Wednesday night in what he called the most important speech of his presidency. He argued that the election system is under coordinated assault, claiming that it's his highest duty to defend the laws and the Constitution.
The constitutional process must be allowed to continue. We are going to defend the honesty of the vote by ensuring that every legal ballot is counted and that no illegal ballot is counted.
And on Wednesday, Joe Biden held a virtual roundtable discussion with small business owners affected by the pandemic. This is one of the president-elect's first steps in addressing the instability and fears of economic shutdown. At the meeting, Biden spoke directly to 4 owners.
Every one of you are dealing with something that is very personal and affects all of you differently, although in one sense, everybody's affected in the same way. I know times are both tough, but I believe that with the right policies, we can fundamentally change things.
His approach to supporting them, pushing aid and relief packages in Congress to provide states and cities with necessary funding. However, small business confidence is reaching all-time lows, with CNBC reporting 55% of owners saying they expect Joe Biden's presidency to be bad for their mom and pops. In a particularly stunning move, Biden and Harris have announced an all-female communications team. On a daily basis, these women will have a say in how the administration is represented around the world. And almost a month after the election, Trump supporters are harassing Georgia's election officials after the state went for Biden. More on this is Lindsay Arabian.
The top election official in Georgia, Gabriel Sterling, had some strong words for Trump and other Republican leaders after reports of harassment and death threats surfaced against officials overseeing the state's recount.
Someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed. And it's not right. Among the harassments was a Twitter thread calling for the hanging of a young technician working on the recount. Meanwhile, caravans of Trump supporters are parading around the private residence of Georgia's Secretary of State, and his wife has reportedly received several sexually explicit threats. Sterling has remained an even-tempered source for election information over the last few weeks, but now he calls for GOP leaders to stop pushing the false rhetoric of election fraud.
Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. Senators, you have not condemned this language or these actions. This has to stop. We need you to step up.
With the Georgia runoff just a month away, the GOP is worried that the mixed messaging between voter fraud claims and the Republican election officials denouncing such claims will lose them the Senate. This is Lindsay Arabian for Chapman News.
Thank you, Lindsay. As we round out one of the most politically turbulent years, be sure to join us next week for our last show of the semester. I'm Jasmine Sani. Back to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jasmine. The Trump administration is making sweeping changes to the U.S. citizenship test. The new test went into effect Tuesday and is expected to be longer and harder, especially for immigrants new to the English language. And while Trump is busy making the road to citizenship more difficult, Melania Trump is the only First Lady to be a naturalized U.S. citizen. Melissa Cho takes a look back at her last 4 years in the White House.
Throughout her time in the White House, First Lady Melania Trump has demonstrated care, courage, and lots of controversy. Despite the constant buzz about Melania Trump's icy family drama or her unconventional taste in fashion and Christmas decorations, not much credit is given to the First Lady for routinely visiting hospitalized children. Along with going to domestic medical centers and schools, she has also traveled internationally. Her most memorable visit being at the Vatican City's pediatric hospital, where she met a boy who had been waiting for a new heart. She also spearheaded the Be Best campaign in 2018, aimed at promoting youth wellness through anti-cyberbullying and anti-drug use efforts.
I'm very excited to announce Be Best, an awareness campaign dedicated to the most valuable and fragile among us, our children.
But critics challenge the irony of the First Lady's initiative, stating that her own husband is a textbook cyberbully.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember. Wacky Jackie is campaigning with Pocahontas. You believe this? A seriously low IQ person.
One of the earliest controversies during the First Lady's White House career was in 2016, when she delivered a Republican National Convention speech that sounded just like Michelle Obama's speech at the 2008 Democratic Convention.
You work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
Vilified by the media over the years, she has transformed fashion into her weapon to combat the public's prying eyes, expressing that she wished people would, quote, focus on what I do, not what I wear. She made headlines in 2018 when she was seen wearing a jacket with the words, "I really don't care, do you?" on it, while on her way to visit immigrant children in Texas. And during this year's Republican National Convention, people coined her look as dictator chic. And constantly being picked apart took its toll on her. A secretly recorded tape in 2018 revealed a distressed Mrs. Trump frustrated at being attacked for her husband's policy of separating illegal families at the border, while expected to also perform traditional First Lady Christmas duties.
And I do it, and I say that I'm working on Christmas, planning for the Christmas. And they said, oh, what about the children that they were separated? Give me a break.
The tape was released by her former friend and senior advisor, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, who has published a book called Melania and Me. Melania Trump might not be the outspoken First Lady that many of us envision, but for someone who was born in an industrial town in the former Yugoslavia and would later become the only First Lady to be a naturalized U.S. citizen, Mrs. Trump has certainly set herself as a curious case for First Lady. For Chapman News, I'm Melissa Cho.
Thanks, Melissa. Mrs. Trump also unveiled the White House Christmas decorations this week following the leaked tapes controversy. In a tweet, the First Lady said she is excited to pay tribute to the majesty of our great nation. The decorations also included a hospital figurine, a nod to healthcare workers during the pandemic. And coming up on Chapman News, more fires blazed through Orange County this week. We'll have your fire update and weather forecast next.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.
The Silverado Canyon is burning once again, forcing thousands of mandatory evacuations near Orange County's inland canyons. The bonfire started as a house fire, but high Santa Ana winds quickly spread the flames through Silverado and Williams Canyon. Although Chapman's Rinker campus is not in the mandatory evacuation zone, the university still canceled all in-person instruction there. Most of Southern California is currently under a red flag wildfire warning that will continue through Saturday night. And with more local and national weather updates is Nicole Zedek.
Thank you, Jackie. Currently in Orange, the high is 78 degrees, and although it's sunny outside, you can expect some strong winds through today and tomorrow. But let's see what's happening around the rest of the country. You can see some cooler temperatures throughout the entire United States this week. Up in Seattle, Washington, we have 52 degrees, and it's similarly cool down in Las Vegas with 61. Over in Colorado, which is where I currently am, the high is 58 degrees. Now up near Minneapolis, it gets a little bit cooler with 36 degrees, similar in Chicago. And then on the rest of the East Coast in Georgia, DC, and New York, you could expect showers through today and tomorrow. Now let's see what's happening in our local Orange County forecast. Here in Orange, we have the highest temperature with 78 degrees, and if you're heading out towards the beach this weekend, Newport and Laguna, you can expect 69 degrees, but it's going to feel a little bit chillier than that with the high winds. More inland towards Mission Viejo, it's going to be 74 degrees, and then it's going to get cooler as you travel south towards San Clemente. Now let's look at our Orange 7-day forecast. You can see the temperatures will definitely be fluctuating throughout the week. It's going to be coldest on Sunday with a high of 71, a low of 49. It will still be sunny, but then Monday and Tuesday you can expect some partly cloudy conditions, but much warmer temperatures with a high of 82 on Tuesday and a low of 51. Then it's going to get cooler again Wednesday and Thursday with a high of 72 on Thursday and a low of 47. That is your weekly look ahead at the weather. I'm Nicole Zedek.
Thanks, Nicole. A new report from the World Meteorological Association highlights 2020's record-breaking weather phenomenons and high temperatures. In response, the UN Secretary General delivered an urgent appeal for world leaders to make 2021 the year to commit to a future free of carbon pollution.
Humanity is waging war on nature. This is suicidal.
This comes as the UN prepares for a virtual climate summit on December 12th. And with your sports updates both nationally and here at Chapman is Erin Coogan. Erin?
Hi everyone, my name is Erin Coogan and welcome back to another week of the Best Campus Sports Show. Heartbreaking news coming out of the SCIAC headquarters this past Tuesday. All conference competition for fall and winter sports has been canceled for the 2021 season. For the coaches and athletes of men's and women's soccer, men's water polo, football, women's volleyball, cross country, swim and dive, and basketball, what was said to be a postponed season has turned into no season at all.
If this is your one season or like your one sport, like it's totally like this is your one kind of like life identity. And just for that to be like, hey, we're done, like happy senior year. And I think that's another thing too, like the fact that we're seniors, it's so brutal. Like, okay, here it is, like that's it.
We've been playing soccer for like 15 years now. So it's kind of weird that if we were to play our last game last year and obviously like it was a loss, like not knowing it was your last game is just heartbreaking.
Our last game as basketball went to like triple overtime for like no reason. And I'm just like, wow, that was like my last game. Like that's so, because that was like a year ago. Like that's crazy. I really said goodbye to like two sports in the most unconventional, like kind of depressing way. like sports I've been playing for so long. Like, I think I get more emotional about it like later down in life when it's like I reflect on my senior year of college.
Still have hope that I'll be able to play at least one more game, which is really all I need is just some closure.
Every athlete knows the importance of balance in sports. Being able to manage the highest of highs and lowest of lows is something that comes with the territory. But as we continue to see record-breaking numbers in the coronavirus pandemic, it's easy to lose sight of any highs at all. So let's break down some national highs and lows we've seen these past few weeks. Let's start off with some good. Sarah Fuller became the first female to ever appear in a Power 5 football game this past Saturday, kicking off the second half of the Vanderbilt-Missouri game. With COVID-related absences in Vanderbilt's normal special teams unit, Fuller suited up and translated her skills from the soccer field to the football field.
Honestly, it's just so exciting, and the fact that I can represent like the little girls out there who've wanted to do this or, thought about playing football.
Sporting the iconic phrase, "play like a girl" on the back of her helmet, Fuller's achievement adds to the long list of women breaking barriers in high-profile athletics. Moving from collegiate football to basketball, some less encouraging news. Within just days of beginning the 2020 collegiate season, teams nationwide are facing contest postponements due to positive coronavirus cases. Last week, we saw the loss of preseason games in UCLA versus Long Beach State and Vanderbilt versus UConn, and this past Wednesday, on Pac-12's opening day, the rescheduling of Colorado versus Arizona. 8 notable matchups this week have already been rescheduled, and we're not even a week into play. And finally, with December 11th marking the beginning of NBA preseason play, the league has released a 134-page COVID-19 guide in hopes to promote prevention and reduce transmission. The document includes mention of a 72-season schedule as compared to the normal 82 games, a strict 45-member team travel squad, and no All-Star game. Other league protocol resembles what was seen in the championship bubble just months ago, just without the physical containment. The coronavirus continues to rewrite everything we've ever known about sports, at every level of play. But one thing remains the same. Sports will continue to fight. I'm Erin Coogan, and I'll see you next week on the Best Campus Sports Show.
Coming up, from Taiwan to Texas, see how your Chapman News reporters celebrated Thanksgiving. And as the semester comes to an end, Chapman just couldn't let students go home without celebrating the annual Winterfest. The celebration will take place in a contactless manner from December 8th to December 10th. And with more to keep you entertained at Chapman and beyond is AJ Keenan.
Hey guys, I'm AJ Keenan, and here's what's new in entertainment. Christmas time is here. That's right. We are finally in the home stretch of 2020, and the holiday season is just around the corner, especially now that the Rockefeller tree is up. And despite everyone blaming 2020 for the unpleasant sight when the tree was unveiled, workers have pulled off what seems to be a Christmas miracle. The result?
3, 2, 1.
This beautiful tree was lit up for the first time Wednesday night. While there was no crowd present for the ceremony, visitors will be able to visit the tree until early next year. Speaking of next year, Warner Brothers dropped a bombshell yesterday by announcing that their entire 2021 slate of movies will drop simultaneously on HBO Max and in theaters, similar to how they are releasing Wonder Woman 1984 later this year. This means that highly anticipated movies like The Matrix 4 and Godzilla vs. Kong will be available instantly from your living room couch as opposed to a theater. The move continues the trend of streaming services replacing theaters in the wake of the pandemic. However, Warner Brothers continues to plan for their films to be released only in theaters in other countries. The shift from theaters to streaming services can also be seen through their domination of the upcoming award season, with 2 of the major streaming services dropping contenders today. Mank, a Netflix drama about the screenwriter behind the iconic film Citizen Kane, is receiving a major Best Picture push, and Sound of Metal, a film about a drummer's hearing loss, premiered in the festival circuit last year and is now debuting on Amazon Prime Video. The film is expected to be a major contender in the acting and Best Picture categories. More Oscar contenders are set to be released in the coming weeks, including Chadwick Boseman's final movie, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Speaking of Boseman, his birthday was this past week, and people from around the world took to social media to showcase their love for the late actor. This includes his co-stars Lupita Nyong'o and Viola Davis, who took to Twitter to pay their tributes. The biggest tribute of all, however, came from Disney. The company, in a similar vein to the tribute done for Stan Lee and Captain Marvel, replaced the Disney Plus Black Panther opening with one dedicated entirely to Boseman. Many predict, and I personally am hoping, that Boseman becomes the second ever posthumous winner of Best Actor for his final role. That would be a tribute fit for a hero and a king. People also took to social media to celebrate Oscar-nominated actor Elliot Page's coming out as transgender and non-binary. He also used the statement to attack transphobic political leaders, saying, "You unleash a fury of vile and demeaning rage that lands on the shoulders of the trans community, a community in which 40% of trans adults report attempting suicide. Enough is enough." The statement was met with support from many celebrities and companies, including his Umbrella Academy co-star Justin Min and Netflix, where the show streams. Netflix has also confirmed that Elliot Page will continue to play Vanya in Umbrella Academy. Now, what else is a better way to wrap up the entertainment segment than talking about Spotify Wrapped? Spotify released their 2020 edition of Wrapped this week, giving listeners their top songs, artists, and albums of the year. For many, it's a time to look back on their favorite music of the year, but for those of us who do not have Spotify, like myself, we are left searching for other options. What were your Spotify Wrapped results for the year? Share them with us on social media at Chapman News. And while you guys go ahead and wrap up your music tastes for the year, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this entertainment update for the week. I'm AJ Keenan. Back to you, Jackie.
Thanks, AJ. We consider ourselves a family here at Chapman News, so we wanted to bring our day of thanks to you, our viewers. Jules Rector takes a look at how our Chapman News team celebrated Thanksgiving this year.
Hey, Dad.
With so many changes this year, many of us take comfort in the small things that remain the same. The Chapman News team celebrated Thanksgiving in many different ways this year, with some in different states or even a different country.
I spent this Thanksgiving with my immediate family, although if you look at the feast we made, you would definitely think we had more than 5 people.
There you go, okay.
With everything going on in the world, it was nice to enjoy some quality family time because that's a luxury that not everyone is able to experience right now.
Weather producer Nicole Zedek enjoyed a traditional Thanksgiving with turkey and all the fixins. But over in Taiwan, international news producer Melissa Cho celebrated a bit differently.
Instead of turkey, my family opted for some really tasty duck.
Let's see how it is.
In pre-pandemic times, I'm not usually home to celebrate Thanksgiving, but because of this year's unusual circumstances, I was able to spend quality family time.
From our Chapman News family to yours, we wish you a wonderful and safe holiday season with the ones you love. Reporting from Orange, California, I'm Jules Rector for Chapman News.
Thanks, Jules, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Chapman News. Be sure to follow us on social media at Chapman News and subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to chapmannews.tv. I'm Jackie Gold, and we'll see you next week for our final show of the semester.